usacheme nindiripo ndokutora mumaoko angu chinyarara iwe chinyarara mwana wangu usacheme nindiripo ndokutora mumaoko angu chinyarara iwe chinyarara iwe shu 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 chengeto wangu amai vanokuda ndipo paugere chinyarara mwana wangu chinyarara iwe shu 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 chiedza wangu urengirozi yakudenga chinyarara mwana wangu usachemewe. Tawazani Hotep Royals, how is everyone doing? Please tap the screen, tap, 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 tap. Let's tap the screen just so we get more people, more eyes on this. Again, gentle reminder, this is going to be posted up on YouTube. So if you have to leave before we finish, you can go ahead and go onto YouTube. The link is in the bio. You can go to YouTube and you can watch the whole thing. If you are new to this family, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are most welcome to this family. Please keep tapping that screen. Just tap that screen. I just want us to get it so that it's in the algorithm. I never announce when I come live simply because I only come live when I am told to do so. So I don't come live every day, and sometimes I promise to come back and I don't because I get told to sit still. So please just tap, tap, tap. The regulars will join us, and we welcome everybody who is new to this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mkhulu Nkanyezi. Mkhulu Nkanyezi or Gogo Nkanyezi. I go by either title, Mkhulu or Gogo. So, yeah, please tap, tap, tap that screen. Let's see if we can get up to 50. I'm going to start. So let's go. Share this out. Share this out. Dumela. Hi, baby. Ninjani Gogo. How's this? I'm being greeted by some of my babies here. So, Waruna, we need to have a date, you and I. Next time I'm in South Africa, we need to meet. So yes, let's do this. Let's do this. It's very important. Jehuti season. We're in the season of Jehuti, throat chakra. We are speaking. We are speaking uncomfortable things. We are talking about things that will make you sometimes squirm in your seat. But the whole idea of me coming and saying certain things is not an academic exercise. I don't come here to say certain things. I come here to say things that I am told you need to look at. So if you happen to be here and you start to feel some type of way, sit with it. Don't run. Sit with it. And then when we're done, go and do the work. One of the issues I'm finding in the spiritual space is that we are platforming a lot of knowledge. We are platforming a lot of tools. We are platforming a lot of rituals. Some of my colleagues will platform rituals. But the truth is, nobody's actually taking this stuff and actioning it. And someone says, that time I was about to sleep. Wake up, Gogo is here. So the importance of the way and I'm sure many of you have heard me say this, and I will continue to say it. Family. It is pointless me or anyone else in the spiritual community coming here and sharing information, knowledge, sharing rituals, sharing things that are supposed to grow you, if you yourself don't then take those things and action them. The problem is most of us are programmed to be passive consumers of information, right? This is why they gave us entertainment. It was really just to dumb you down so that you do not use your own mind, your own brain to be creative or to motivate yourself to action things that are good for you. So I want us, especially when you come to me, you don't have to promise me this. Obviously, you have to promise yourself. But try to promise yourself that whatever it is you hear, you will take away with you and put it into action. I always talk about people keeping journals. And I've shown you, I've got 100 journals lying all around because I'm doing the work. So if you don't do the work, you can't really call yourself spiritual, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to do work that helps you to ascend, that assists you in understanding yourself better, that assists you in understanding the world around you better. We're trying to give you tools that assist you in understanding your place in the grand scheme of things. What is your place as a woman, or Indlovukazi, as goddess in the collective? What is your place as a masculine in the divine plan? And so sitting and listening is not enough. Action it. So on that note, let me greet everybody properly and then we'll get going. Thokozani, Kamagwini, Lesedihanya, Tobela, Ndawe Shewe, Lesedihanya, I think I've said that already. Habarigani, Muribwanji, Nangadef, who have I forgotten? I think I've gotten everybody. If I missed you, there's a greeting in there for you somewhere. Hotep. All I'm saying is I'm literally greeting in various African languages. My family over here has given me how to greet properly in different languages. So before we go further, I wanted to speak about our latest publication called Her. It is called Her, Reclaiming the Divine Feminine. And really what this is we are doing a Sankofa, which is going back in time to look at the way things were so that we can take that knowledge and bring it into the present so we can chart the future. And this is so important to understand her, because she has been erased, has been distorted, has been desecrated, has been denied throughout history. And so her is a concise, a very concise sort of historical view of the archetype of goddess, the archetype of Mother God throughout history. So please, link is in the bio, get yourself a copy. In January, we are going to convene a group/book club where I will then be expanding on a lot of what is in there, because it is very, very important. Now, what I'm seeing a lot on the socials is Goddess is here, and there's no denying it. You cannot believe the number of Indlovukazi, the number of divine feminines who are unapologetically teaching the truth about who we are. I can tell you that 5 years ago, when I came into this knowledge, we weren't talking like this. So Jehuti is here. Ma'at, the age of Aquarius, the age of the divine feminine, is here. And Jehuti, who stands next to Ma'at, is like, we've got to speak the truths no matter how uncomfortable they make people. Why are we doing this? Because failure for the divine feminine to really come to terms with who she truly is means that the world will go to hell in a handbasket. Right now, Mother Earth is in the process of purging. She's in the process of healing herself. And so if we don't do the work of healing ourselves through finding out what really happened, how did we come to be where we are? And where we are, family, you don't need me to tell you. You just need to look around you the whole world over, and you will see that where we are as a collective is really, really not a good place. So, like I said, yeah, grab yourself a copy and then we will be meeting. I haven't yet decided which platform we'll use. It could be through my website because this knowledge is going to be curated. And I always say the knowledge is going to be for those who are ready for it and those who are ready for the work. Because when we come together in group, we will have a lot of work that we are going to be doing around her and around her story, right? Okay, so that having been said, I want us to look at accountability. You know, there's so many buzzwords in the spiritual streets, in the therapy streets and the coaching streets, etc., psychology, so many buzzwords. And sometimes I think that we say these things and they sound good, so-and-so doesn't take accountability. So-and-so doesn't take accountability. On a macro scale, we know that we are living in a prison in which the jailers, aka governments, don't take accountability for anything. Let's leave those aside because at this point, we don't really care. Because why? Because we know that the salvation and the authentic freedom we're looking for is not going to come from any of the systems that are in place now, because those were created to keep us in prison anyway. So we cannot look to those same systems somehow to chart us a path to freedom. If they failed for centuries, why on earth would you think they're going to start now? I think we also have a deeper understanding that even I call them the jailers, the prison wardens, are nothing but that. That's all governments are. Governments are nothing but prison wardens, because above them and on a deeper level, there are those who are actually pulling the strings. There are those who are actually in charge. And this may sound to you like I'm talking about some shadow government. Yeah, call it shadow governments. But I'm talking about some deep spiritual stuff, which we will discuss. I'm going to be talking about it at a later date. But so that you guys get an understanding of how deeply imprisoned we actually are. And you will start to look at your life differently when you realize that a lot of what you do, a lot of what you say, a lot of how you move, a lot of the things you're partaking in, you're doing so because you are in a prison. We've been given the illusion of freedom, but really nobody's free. And when we talk, like I said last time, about sovereignty, people talking about sovereign nations, the West are sovereign nations, we want sovereignty. There's no sovereignty on this planet right now. And I will explain to you why I say that. But in the meantime, the only way you can gain sovereignty is the spiritual path, is the return back to nature, is the return to understanding how it is. And I'm talking thousands and thousands of years ago, we actually existed on this planet, and how we actually existed in other realms, on other planets, in other dimensions, because we did. But on that note, let me stop and let's go back. Let's reel it in and let's talk about accountability. So what is accountability? Accountability is really taking ownership, right? It's taking ownership of the decisions that you make, which includes the things you say, the things you do, the things you don't do, etc. That is ownership. Taking accountability says, I am, as I am, a complete spirit, soul, having a human experience. And every decision that I make, I am making the choice. I am making a choice to do X. I am making a choice to do Y. The problem with accountability that a lot of people run into is when they make decisions or choices that are detrimental to themselves, detrimental to those that are around them or detrimental to the collective. It is at that point that many, and I'm talking vast majority of us, decide that we are not going to take accountability, but rather we are going to blame outside forces for the choices that we have made. Simple case in point. You are in a partnership with somebody, you choose to cheat. You choose to cheat. When you get caught, remember, it's when you get caught, instead of taking ownership for the choice that you made to step out of that relationship, particularly if the parameters of that relationship were set, it was going to be a you and I thing and no third parties. You make the decision by yourself. You make the choice by yourself outside of your partner to step out of that agreement. You make the choice to break that agreement. When you're caught, you turn around and you say, but it was a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice you made. It was a decision you made. The one that I can't stand the most is, you know what I'm going to say, right? The devil made me do it. Poor Satan. Poor Satan. If he exists, I feel sorry for Satan because Satan gets blamed for every bad thing everybody chooses to do. And you say, no, it was the devil who made me do it. That is not taking accountability. You're blaming Satan. You're saying you had no hand in it whatsoever. Satan came and whispered in your ear, break this contract, step out. Come on. Come on. What it is about accountability that people are scared of. Let's take a deep dive. Why are people terrified of taking accountability? Number one, they're terrified of the consequences of taking accountability. So there's a bit of being a coward there. You were brave enough to break a contract because you thought you wouldn't be found out, but you don't have the courage to then face the consequences. So a lot of people don't want to face the consequences. Number two, a lot of people are very protective of their ego. And so to take accountability feels like you being broken down, feels like humiliation. And so rather than take accountability, you go into defense mode. You defend the indefensible. It's not defensible because you did that. Take ownership. So a lot of people don't like taking ownership because it is not comfortable to take ownership. But I want to put it to you this way. It is very immature. It is very 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old when you're not able to take accountability for your actions. So taking accountability is a lot more than just you and most people too, to escape consequences, especially if they know the type of person they're dealing with and they know this is somebody who values apology, you will get an I'm sorry. You'll get the tears, you'll get all the drama. That's not taking accountability. That's you deflecting and distracting from the real issue, which is that you made a decision and your decision had a negative impact on someone else. So all the drama, the histrionics, the crying, the throwing yourself on the floor, that is 3, 4, 5-year-old behavior. And you do that because you want to distract this person from confronting you so that you take accountability. It's a very manipulative and sneaky thing to do, actually. Stand in your shame. That's another reason people don't like to take accountability, because shame is not a comfortable emotion. Neither is guilt. But I put it to you that a lot of the times people will, let's say, if you hadn't been caught, you'd have carried on with that behavior. So in the moment where you're caught, what are you saying you're sorry for? Are you sorry that you got caught? Or are you genuinely remorseful for what you have done? Are you genuinely remorseful because now, yes, you got caught, you're confronted by your partner, and you seeing the hurt and the disappointment that you have caused causes you to feel remorseful? See, there's a difference between feeling shame and guilt and having and feeling remorse. Shame and guilt are about your ego. It is about being discovered. It is about the fact that you had a mask on. You were pretending all along to be something or someone you're not. That mask has fallen off, and now you have deep shame. It is usually from the shame that the defensiveness and wanting to blame everybody else for your choices comes from. Very, very important to understand that. The other reason people don't like to take ownership or accountability is because you owe the person an explanation. Not excuses. There's a difference between explanation and excuses. You owe the person answers. You owe this person answers to every question that they ask you. Now, what makes it so uncomfortable is because you may be asked questions like, how often did this happen? Where did this happen? What was she wearing? What did you all eat before that? And this person who's asking these questions is trying to heal, is trying to have some sort of resolution to this. And the only person who can give them that resolution is you. So you have to stand in shame as you get asked sometimes intimate and detailed questions, and you are obligated to answer those questions. That's why a lot of people throw their hands in the air and starts doing the drama, so that it doesn't even go there. It stays at the superficial. And if you distract your partner enough, then your partner is no longer focused on what you did. Your partner is busy trying to tell you to be quiet. Sometimes the partner is now trying to take care of you, because I know people who've gone to the extreme where they'll get a packet of pills and try to swallow them because, because they don't want to take accountability. Stop it. Stop it. Very juvenile, very childish. So the example I used was, say, an intimate partnership, but this can apply anywhere. This can apply anywhere. Your child comes and tells you that you hurt them because you said X, Y, Z to them. Sit with it. Most parents fly into a rage. You're disrespectful. You're this, you're this, you're this. You're evading. Your child has come to you to let you know that you're this, you're this, you're this. You're evading. Your child has come to you to let you know that you hurt them. Instead of holding space for that child's hurt, your ego forces you to run into defense mode, and you get angry. Get angry. And so now the poor child is left feeling terrible and gaslit for something you did. So accountability, it's broad. I can give as many examples as possible, but I hope that a couple of examples I've given you are showing you that accountability is not as simple as it seems. And if you are somebody who calls themselves spiritual, or you're on a spiritual journey, or you're on a journey of awakening, these are some of the things that you need to look at. These are some of the things that you need to do some self-introspection about. How are you moving and showing up in the world? What is your presence or absence doing in terms of the people that you interact with, in terms of the collective, in terms of your community? See, because if we all held ourselves accountable, I think we would have a much better situation on ground. One of the things about spirituality versus, say, religion is that in spirituality, no one really holds you to account. Okay, let's just get that clear. There is no devil out there. There is no God out there who's waiting to judge you. And there is no Satan with a pitchfork waiting to pick you up on the tip of the fork and roast you in an eternal fire. Those are fairy tales. However, as a being that seeks to ascend, as a being that seeks to be enlightened, you have to hold yourself accountable. You know what's acceptable and what's not. You know what's right and what's not. And when you infringe upon the rights of another person by hurting them and not taking accountability, I agree, mistakes happen. But mistakes are choices that we make, and therefore we should really hold our own feet to the fire in terms of, are we going to take accountability? It is part of the journey. It is part of the journey of learning to be in community with others. How are you showing up in community? Because if you're busy being toxic and you're spreading pain all around, what does that do to your own spiritual imprint? What is the spiritual imprint that you're leaving behind you as you move, say, on this continuum of time? If you are 40 or you're 50 or you're 30, as you look back, just do a little bit of hindsight. Just look back a little bit and ask yourself, what does your imprint look like over the years to the point where you are now? Overall, it can't be perfect because none of us is perfect, but overall, is it an imprint that has left a positive mark on those who've met you or have had to deal with you? Or have you left a trail of pain and tears behind you? Have you left a trail of people who, when they hear your name, they suck their teeth? Because if that is so, you have a lot of work to do, because let me tell you something about accountability and spirituality. Nothing goes unseen. You see, again, the difference between spirituality and religion is, in religion, you say you go to a priest or you go to a pastor and you say, oh, forgive me because I have sinned and I did wrong things. And he says, oh, you are cleansed in the name of Jesus, or you are washed in the blood, or what is it, the other one? Your sins are forgiven. You get absolution from your wrongdoings. So now you've bypassed the very important thing, which is making amends. What does that mean? Making amends is that you have to face those people that you wronged, if they're still alive, and if they're not, they are still alive, but not in the physical. You still have to make amends because you have a spiritual debt. So whether they're alive, whether they've gone, if you have not made amends, if you have not apologized, you have a spiritual debt. And one thing about nature and how we understand spirituality, as above, so below, balance is required. And so bringing in Jehuti into this, if you know, Jehuti stands with a book. When Ma'at is weighing the heaviness of your heart, Now, what is the heaviness of the heart? The heaviness of the heart is all the accumulation of all those things that you have done or not done, that you have not made amends and you have not corrected in the spiritual realm. That is the heaviness of the heart. So the recording of the Jehuti is really, as you move through life, all of these spiritual debts you're accumulating are written there. And when it comes time to transition, I don't know, now that we're in the technological age, whether Jehuti is going to play the movie of your life so that you get to sit. See, nothing is hidden. So you get to sit with it at that point, whereas you could have dealt with it in the now. It's probably a lot simpler to deal with it in the now, because now you're on the other side. What do you have to say for yourself? And remember, all of this is happening, and there is no judgment from anybody, not from Ma'at, not from Jehuti, but from yourself. Your soul will know what it needs to do with itself after it's watched the movie of your physical existence. I think it's very important to understand this. You know, there's just so much chaos that is going on around us. And a lot of us it's very easy to run away from the self. It's very easy to run away from doing the work. We have enough distractions to keep us away from the self. Right? There are enough distractions out there to keep us from ourselves. And it is with purpose that it is done so. So you get stuck in the cycle of karma. So when you transition, you get to come back and do this whole rodeo again. Very, very important. You know, when you're by yourself and you listen to your higher self talking to you, because you talk to yourself all the time. Your thoughts are you talking to you. All those thoughts you have in your mind, that's you talking. You know where it's at, and you know the truth about yourself. And only you can help yourself. Nobody needs to know that you're doing this work. Get a journal, start writing down. If you're a piece of SHIT, say it, and then start from there. Admit first that, you know what, I'm rubbish. I'm rubbish. I've been doing rubbish. I've been saying rubbish. I'm a fake. I'm a fraud. It's not nice to do that. But if you're serious about your spiritual walk and you're serious about ascension, you will do it. I'm not talking about the performative spirituality that a lot of people are doing out there, which is another problem we have in the spiritual community, which makes us no different from religion. People are very performative about it. People walk around wearing elekes and beads and this and wearing attire and tying their hair up and locking their hair. That doesn't mean a thing. That doesn't mean a thing. If over here, you're rubbish. And there are many who are doing that. And so it's performative because majority are wearing masks. You see somebody who's like that and you're like, oh my gosh, oh, a spiritual person. And of course, for a lot of people, a spiritual person is someone who's supposed to move somewhat different. This is somebody who moves with a certain consciousness about them. This is someone who moves with the awareness of how their energy affects those around them. Only to find that, no, actually, this is the wickedest of the wicked of the wicked. Guys, stop it. Stop it. Somebody said, yeah, spirituality is a business, which is unfortunate because, you know, I'm not going to kind of expound on that, but, you know, it is a business for a lot of practitioners who have been called to do spiritual work full time. But the end game of doing the work is what's important. Are you impacting people's lives positively? Just recently, there were two spiritual girlies who were fighting here on the socials. And again, that's where I look at it and I'm like, as long as your ego is so big that you can have public spats with a fellow practitioner, something is off there. It just means that maybe the understanding of what it is to be a spiritual person or to have consciousness really is. Ultimately, what we're trying to do in the spiritual space is to work at the heart space. Because at the end of it all, this is what gets weighed, is the heart. And the heart is the seat of your intentions. It is the seat of your emotions. The heart is really the powerhouse when it comes to spirituality. That is why the heart chakra and making sure that the heart is very connected to your brain, because remember, your mind has thoughts, and those thoughts are the ones that become emotions. They are alchemized in the heart to become emotions. That's why sometimes I'll ask people, what thought patterns are you harboring? What conversations are you having with yourself? Because those very conversations you're having with yourself are what is alchemized in the heart. And from that is where your action stems. So if you have a thought about doing someone dirty, then from that thought, it goes to the heart space where the emotions that you have is emotions of joy or glee at actually hurting someone. Then you will action that. Remember that the art or the act of creation is a combination of your thought, your emotion, and then the spoken word or an action. So you may not speak out loud, but then you will produce an action based on the emotions that were evoked by your thoughts. I hope this makes sense. And so when we talk about accountability, we talk about accountability starting over here. What thoughts are you harboring? Someone might say, but nobody has any kind of control over their thoughts. Yes, you do. You have the ability when you think a negative thought to say, Gogo, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. And you let go of that thought and you shift your focus to something else. But then if you dwell on a negative thought and you keep dwelling on a negative thought, that thought gets alchemized to an emotion. And then the emotion becomes anger. The emotion might become jealousy or envy. And then you're going to action out. So guard your thoughts, because I always say, very simply put, thoughts become things. You think it, you feel it, you produce, either through your mouth, something that can be destructive or something that can be constructive. So that is accountability. And accountability is very much linked to emotional intelligence. And let's talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to self-regulate, right? The same way that you control your thoughts, now you have to exercise control over your emotions. You are in charge of your emotions. How many people will say, oh, so-and-so made me angry? Nobody makes you do anything. Nobody has that much power to make you do anything. Somebody says something mean, somebody says something you don't like, somebody does something you don't like. You remain in control of how you're going to respond or not respond, react or not react. You are in charge of that. That person's power stopped the minute they said or did what they did. That's where their power stops. You empower them now when you make the choice to react or respond in a particular manner. Why are you giving people power over your life? Because anybody who can control your emotions has power over your life. So emotional intelligence requires that, number one, you have a lot of self-awareness. Be self-aware. How many people on the socials are getting insulted left, right, and center by people who don't espouse the same way of life? And your immediate thing is, you know what, let me press a video and do a response. I'm saying this because I was like that. I still do it sometimes. I do. It's usually directed at the Christoses because the Christoses really get up my nose. The Christoses are a special breed. So when they come for me, I come for them. And a lot of the time I do that because I want to laugh at them. But I cannot say they have power over my emotions because I don't spend all day seething and fuming because a Christos came and called me a demon worshiper. Right? So it's very important to be self-aware. Why is it important? Emotional intelligence is so important because sometimes you actually shoot yourself in the foot when you are not emotionally intelligent. I'll tell you why. When you allow external forces to influence your emotions, so either you're emotionally yo-yoing or you're chronically down, you're chronically depressed and all those things, that lowers your vibrational frequency. And when you lower your vibrational frequency, everything else in your life falls apart. Your finances get affected. Your relationships with those you actually care for get affected. In other words, there are some things that are really not worth you emotionally investing in. And that is where self-awareness comes into it. If somebody hurts you in the morning, by the time you go to bed at night, have you been thinking about that thing and that person the whole day and plotting what you're going to do? That person owns you. That person is living rent-free in your head. And by living rent-free in your head, they're messing up your entire manifestation game. Come on. So self-awareness is very important. Self-regulation is very important. One of the things people don't realize, particularly in the spiritual space, and I'm going to say this is, are you aware that there are some people who come your way just to disrupt you? And so if you fall for the disruption because you get angry or you get upset or you get distracted, they've won. They've won. And there is so much power, family. There is so much power in staying silent, like you didn't hear it, like you didn't see it. You pull your power back to yourself and then take the anger, take the frustration, take the rage and alchemize it and make it work for you. But don't react, don't respond. And some people will be like, yeah, but spirituality, isn't that like turning the other cheek? No, it's not. Spiritual people will tell you that it's far from turning the other cheek. It's far from turning the other cheek. A couple of words from my mouth over the situation and I'm done. I don't need the histrionics and the drama. I don't need to confront you. I don't need to deal with you. We deal in the spiritual. Why am I going to come and face you? Hey, you said this. Why you did this? Why? What do you have an altar for? What do you have an ancestral altar and candles and stuff for? Come on now. Haven't I taught you guys anything? You take it to the altar and you leave it there and you move on with your life. So, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-regulation, and empathy. Empathy is very important to emotional intelligence. There's some people who think they're emotionally intelligent just because they talk about it. There's some people who think they're emotionally intelligent just because they teach about it. But emotional intelligence requires empathy, meaning you are able to feel the pain of others to the extent that before you step out to say or do anything that will hurt someone else, you sit back and self-reflect. You are able to say to yourself, if I do X or say X, how will this person feel? Somebody says I become meaner. How will this person feel? How is my action going to impact this person? And emotional intelligence is so important in the season of Jehuti because Jehuti is who carries wisdom. Are you moving with wisdom? Social awareness is very important when you are emotionally intelligent. For those of us who are called to work with the collective, the first question to ask is, how does this that I'm doing or saying impacting the collective? Am I adding to the collective burden, the collective stress, the collective pain, or am I doing my part to alleviate it? What am I contributing to the collective? Does it allow the collective to grow and flourish and become that which we're supposed to? Or am I detracting from the development of our collective? Empathy, self-awareness, self-regulation are very important even in parenting. How are your words, your actions impacting those souls incarnated into human form over which you are a guardian or steward? How many parents are actually thinking about how their actions may be interfering with their child's very destinies? How many parents are thinking about how their actions or inactions, their words, spoken and unspoken, are actually impacting their boy children in terms of what you're setting them up for in the world? Your girl children, what are you setting them up for in the world? This is why I always say emotional intelligence is so huge, and so it like we could touch on so many things. Why is everybody having children? Because there are some people who are not supposed to have children. And I know this is controversial. I know there are people going to be like, oh, but you've got a womb, but you're a woman, you're supposed to have kids. No. Just because you have a womb doesn't mean you're supposed to carry or be a portal for spirits to enter this world. Your womb is yours because you are divine feminine. It's not there, and just because it's there, it must produce offspring. That's nonsense. So why do we demonize women who are honest enough to say, you know what, can't do it, not having kids, not ready, will never be ready, I don't want them? And that's okay. Why do we then demonize women who choose, for whatever reasons, not to have kids? Aren't those women making a better choice than women who are laying up with whoever and accidentally falling pregnant? Who's the better? And I don't mean better in a moralistic sense, but I mean, who is exercising better judgment? The one who says, hey, I know that I cannot mother, or I don't want to mother, than the one who's like, oh, let's do that, this, oops, let me get pregnant. Oh, I'm pregnant. And then brings a baby with no prior thought, no prior preparation, and wonders why, when this child comes, you can't deal with it now. You can't deal with it because it was an accident. Now imagine the number of kids who grow up knowing, because they will eventually know, that they were accidents. And everybody will be like, hey, the birth of a child is a blessing. No, it's not. Let's be honest. For some women, having a child is not a blessing. It's a blessing if you wanted one. It's an accident if you had not bargained with having one. But then if you're not ready to have kids, why are you doing the things without the protection and the contraception? Why are you doing it? You can't on one hand say children are a blessing. They come into this world and then they're abused and all sorts of things because people weren't ready to have these kids. And I place the responsibility on the men too. The men who, when they hear of a pregnancy, after doing the do raw, you come running and saying, no, I don't. What did you think was going to happen? This is where self-awareness comes in, emotional intelligence. Why isn't every single person taking responsibility for their actions? Because you partook in an act that you know very well as an adult is going to possibly produce offspring. You went ahead and did it anyway. You as a guy, why didn't you insist on condomizing? Hell, why don't you have a vasectomy? Because some of you all have 7, 8 children with different baby mamas. Have a vasectomy. Shut that thing down. You're not judged by the number of kids you have in the world. You are judged, or you can self-judge by the quality of life you give these children and the kind of human beings these children will become. So if you're having them because you don't want them, and you're having them accidentally, what is supposed to be the ultimate outcome for these poor children? And then you all cry, oh, my 2000 are crazy. Oh, my, this child is this. Do you know that there is such a thing as pre-birth trauma? Let's talk about that for a minute. Pre-birth trauma is once you have conceived, that embryo feels, hears every single thing that you say, every single thing that you go through, that embryo feels. If this womb is unwelcoming, that embryo feels it, and that is the imprint on that embryo that will become a child. She comes through the portal. In their DNA is already imprinted rejection. So then my question becomes, is a woman who does not vehemently want to have children, who goes ahead and says, oh, hell no, I'm going to have an abortion, is she wrong? I'm asking for a friend. Who is the better woman? The woman who does not want to have a child, or the woman who says, I don't want to have a child, but society says I should, and this, has that child, is resentful of that pregnancy. Throughout the entire pregnancy, they are resentful. They don't want this thing that's growing in them. Who makes the better choice, or who exercises better judgment? I'm asking for a friend. See, some of you all don't even realize how deep this goes when we look at it from a spiritual perspective. Are you aware that many of your wombs may be carrying a fetus that gets the imprint of a negative entity because of the state that you are in? Are you aware of that? See, many of you are not. Many of you are birthing what look like us, normal baby. But the spirit that is incarnated is not a soul as we know it. That's a conversation for another day. Actually, that's a whole conversation for another day. And we'll have that conversation and I'll bring evidence and proof for you. Yeah, some of y'all are bringing little demons into the world. Demon child, demon children. You see this creature and you don't understand it. It's not like its father and it's certainly not like you. And you're asking yourself, who is or what is this? Because you're not exercising emotional intelligence. You are not living in consciousness. Living consciously is so important at this current time. And this conversation I'm having is even more important at this time because of the time that we're in. I've said this to you before. Them dark entities are desperate right now. Them dark entities are desperate right now because they're trying to keep this system in place. They will use any means necessary to proliferate, multiply themselves. And if you open your womb up and give your womb out through various means, you're going to be birthing creatures that are anti-human. They look like us, move like us, eat like us, but you will see by their behaviors that, nah, man, something else is incarnated here. Soul swapping is a real thing. We will talk about it. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Anyway, family, someone says, what if we are grabbed? I don't know what that means. Or what if you were raped? The choice as to what to do there is entirely yours. I know what I would do without blinking. Because part of the whole issue is when you're raped and then you go and report it, you get taken to a hospital. I'd say DNC, fast. DNC and every other thing that they need to do to make sure that physically I'm okay. And then I would step into therapy and healing. I think it's a travesty that women who have been raped and have fallen pregnant are pressurized to keep those offspring. If it is a choice that you make, hey, more power. But if you are pressurized because of the community you're in or the family you're in to carry, guys, 9 months is a long time. I have 4 babies. 9 months is a long time to be carrying what is the byproduct of grape. You got to deal emotionally with the fact that you're graped, and then there's something growing in you that is evidence of that grape, and then that infant has to come through your portal. Do you know what labor is like? Yes, fetus deletus. That's me. Fetus deletus. And you know what? Fetus deletus, and then a deep, thorough spiritual cleanse. And then I'll take it to my altar to deal with said rapist so that we recreate ma'at and balance and harmony, both within myself and in the cosmos. So, very important to understand don't take the lens of religion and bring it into the spiritual space and think or expect that we move or have or operate with the same parameters of right and wrong. It's not there. They are only consequences of your actions. And even with the consequences, there are ways in which you can deal with it and make amends. That's the beauty of being spiritual, is as long as balance is recreated in the cosmos, as above, so below, here on earth, you recreate that balance so that there is resonance between the cosmos and the planet. There is resonance between yourself and the cosmos. We move. Ne? So I hope we did the accountability well. I hope we did the emotional intelligence well. And please don't forget to get her, Reclaiming the Divine Feminine. The link is in my bio. If you can't find the link or you have a problem, don't hesitate to send me a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp message number is +1 734 274 0664. And then we'll convene as in Ndlovukazi in January and start doing some thorough work around that. It'll be mind-blowing. Ne? All right, Black Nation. This has been fun. I've enjoyed being here with you guys. Ne? One love, always. Boo boo, boo 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 boo.